Here we are. It's overtime, and today, in honor of the first anniversary of the show,
free.
Everybody's able to watch it for free.
Come on in.
Free.
Sit down.
You go. Guys.
So get naked, bull.
Yeah, no. Jay was joking. Nobody wants to see me.
Half our viewers are on
now.
now.
Don't want to see you guys naked either. Let's not
Speak for yourself.
Let's not get carried away. Anyway, guys, it's been a great day, a fun day. Are there some things that we have not hit on today? Anybody jump in? That have been some of the highlight moments. I mean, we hit on so many highlight moments, and Mike and the guys did a great job with the awards. But are there some things that have stood out that we did not hit on?
I think I think the coolest part about the show is like when the people come on, like they don't like DeQuell and Leroy and Tim and Aditi, like they come on, right? And usually you have guests that come on and add something to the show, but they come on and they're like in the show. Like they come on not as some prognosticator, they come on and they will come on and they tell how they feel. So I think it adds a big part to the show. Like you'll be on here arguing, and you think somebody going to agree with you, they're like, no, I didn't come on here to agree with you.
Right.
I'm just telling it like it is. So I think I love the fact that we have our constant contributors that come on, and just me watching them was like, oh man, I ain't seen them in a while. So it's just like you
since
miss
football
people.
season, really, some of them.
It's a major advantage. Like as someone who did radio forever, I always was like, I never even thought about TV for myself. And one of the things I really love about doing it is that even when they're not in studio, and it's great when we have a guest in studio, but it's a different, when you interview someone on TV and you're seeing each other, it's a totally different experience than talking essentially on the phone, which is what a radio interview
Completely
is.
agree.
Most of the time, every once in a while, we'd have a guest in studio, but it was uncommon. And you can make at least some level of connection more that way than if you're just hearing the other person's voice. And
100%.
I like that.
Yeah, 100%. I think we really hit on all the high points. Like when I think back of the year and all of the things that come to mind, I remember some of your and I's like big debates where we were screaming at each other. I remember the throw up. I remember G. Bush 6-0. That was fun. I mean, like I think
the Guardians playoff run last year.
That was fun. I remember throwing out the first pitch. That was super fun.
At the Guardians game.
That should have been on the best moment.
That was super fun.
That was a good time.
That was a great day.
I think my hope moving forward, I hope that in year 2 we can try to do a full remote show. I think that it's got to be the right event. There's got to be a crowd, number one. But I just remember from doing shows on scene at big events at ESPN, it took it to the next level.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know, technology-wise, it's really difficult to do that, I'm sure. But
when we would do
hopefully we can do that.
When we would do the radio show at a busy bar, it was a little annoying because sometimes you couldn't hear it, but it brought an energy that was unique to that experience.
Right.
And so that would be, which is what we don't have because we never have people in
the
studio.
comedy night out, I don't know if you guys talked about that.
I forgot about that.
The comedy night out was fun for all of us because McNuggets got to do. Yeah, for some of us. Anthony did not enjoy it.
That was such a fun.
That was a good time, and I think the one thing that we all can agree on was the thing we enjoyed the most was there was nice fan interaction, both at the event and then when we left, we said let's go grab a drink. And I looked around, and it was like the cloud that follows Linus on Peanuts. It was like, here come a whole bunch of our regular fans.
Yeah.
And we sat there and ate food and drank beer. And I think it would be cool if we had like an event like that
every year,
where it's kind of a get-together party for the super fans, and those that want to show up, and we raise some money for charity that night too.
Yep.
And that was on the best moment list, but it wasn't a show moment. So that's why I didn't think it fit into like the show. But that night was, and will forever be, one of my favorite nights ever. Not only the rush of doing stand-up, like that was
great.
The fact that I made some people laugh, like that was exhilarating. But
the
then
fact that he was good.
But afterwards, we went out. I met a ton of people. Like I wish, and for everyone out there listening, this is the most people we've ever had in overtime because it's now today's is public. You don't have to be a member. our studio, you can see Steve Becker in the corner. There's like 3 chairs. It's not a huge studio. We can't fit a real audience in here.
Right.
No.
But I would love to find a way, and maybe it's a remote, which is way easier said than done. I promise you there are so many tech side of things that is an absolute pain in the ass to do remote.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to find a way to do a live show or some sort of live event where we can incorporate you guys in with us and bring you guys behind the scenes. Because I think if you could see what we do, it just makes it even cooler. And we love you guys like that. We want that fifth wall to be broken down. It's just a lot easier.
You know who does that well is the Stern Show. When they do a remote, they go to like an auditorium or a concert venue.
They rarely do it these days.
They used to do it a lot. They don't do it anymore. But they did it really, really well, because if you're listening on the radio, you feel like you're like you're left out because you're not there.
Right.
But they always do a good job of incorporating the fun and the party, and it comes through on the show.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is really hard to do.
I mean,
really hard to do.
The opportunity, maybe if the Guardians get in the playoffs, we can think about doing something downtown,
right,
or whatever. I mean, we're just spitballing during overtime here, but certainly if the Browns made a playoff game, that would,
Oh, listen, I can't. Well.
Especially a home playoff game.
I don't even know, because we talked about it. Even in the events outside of it, like, I enjoy going over, just regular company stuff, like going to Jay's house, watching the Super Bowl. Like,
that was awesome.
Like, just hanging out.
The Ohio State-Michigan game?
Yeah.
Ohio State get pummeled?
Yeah.
That won't happen again.
So these things are sweet. And we talked about it. I don't even think we could even do content. Like, it would be great for the UCSS if, like, we did, like a pregame or postgame. But
the UCSS barbecue.
But if the Browns went to the Super Bowl, I don't know if I can't do no content. Like, I had to be at my house. I couldn't do no content. Like,
I remember when we were at the house watching the Super Bowl, and it was high drama in the fourth quarter, and it was kind of in a commercial break, and he looked at me and he goes, "I couldn't do this if we were playing. I don't know how I would handle watching.
I couldn't watch with you
a drama-filled fourth quarter with the Browns in the Super. I mean, we all can. We felt it with Game 6 Game 7 in 2016, Game 7 in 2016 for the Indians. So we've felt that drama, but we've never felt that with the team that this city loves the most, and that's the Browns.
Man, I would have to be by myself. It'd be hard place, and I watched the game with my family. It'd be hard pressed. I would have to. When I watched 2016, I was in a room locked up,
all alone,
by myself.
Cavs or for the Indians?
For the Cavs, and then for the Indians too. Yeah. Like, and I was just like, bro, like the rain delay happened. It's just like I just remember, and I was like, how many people think the same way? Like, how many people really couldn't really be in a bar or couldn't be?
Yeah, I think I'm like that. I don't really like to be at the game or with big crowds. I mean, it is fun. I was at Game 7. It was ripped my heart out, but
I decided not to go. I could have gone.
I remember you deciding whether you were going to go or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. But imagine if it was the Browns. Like, first of all, that's how you know you're alive, when you're watching your team in a Game 7 or a championship game. I mean, the way you feel before the game, your guts are tied all up, and you're so nervous about what's going to happen.
Just like Steve, you've seen the Philadelphia Eagles be there a couple of times. Like, for me, it would start after the AFC Championship game, because I would be emotional after that.
Can't sleep for 2 weeks.
Because I would know that no other Browns fan has ever seen past this point.
Yeah.
We've never been this far in history.
Yeah.
Like, so I would be freaking out just on that. Like, just alone, just completely.
I'm just dead inside. It wouldn't faze me at all. I don't care.
I'm dead inside.
Would you place
anyway about the team?
Jay,
would you wager?
No. You say that, Jay, but you would be affected.
Would you
I was in 2016. It was.
You weren't?
No, I got a deadline. I got to hit a deadline. Let's go. And it was all about hitting the deadline. There was.
Wow.
So there was one moment late
I had
in the
a
game.
deadline in 16 too for both shows. But I,
well, it's funny because when they won in, I think we talked about this, in the Cavs, I was texting people in the organization telling them, this is happening. Like, you guys are going to win this. Like, prepare yourself now. This is absolutely happening. And people are like, oh, I don't know how you can be so confident. I'm like, I'm telling you, from the minute Steph threw his mouth guard, I said, it's over. Like, they're unraveling.
Yeah.
The Cavs are going to do this. So I walked into the arena the night of Game 7 going, they're going to win the game. So I knew they were going to win the game. And there was one moment where Joe looked at me, like late in the game, Joe Varden looked at me, he's like, oh my God, like
This is happening.
This is happening. And it was such an honor. Like, it truly was an honor for me to chronicle that, to walk alongside that team every step of the way, to be at every – I mean, I think they played something like 118 games that year from preseason to regular season to postseason, and I was probably at 114 of the 118. I was at all of them. So to be, like, in charge of the chronicle of that was a huge, like –
what was that atmosphere like shoot around? Like, was it just like when you go into there, you had shoot around, and you go into Rourke or where it was then, and it's Game 7. Did you just look around and just be like, damn?
Well, they didn't shoot. They got around the rules, so there was no shoot around availability then, pregame. You know, but I mean, just walking into the arena, yeah, it was a fantastic arena. The whole thing was great, but. I mean, I truly did. I'm not lying to you guys. I walked in going, this is happening tonight. They are winning this game.
But your fandom is gone for all
I don't care.
Had you? Guardians.
No.
Yeah, you don't
care.
I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you walk
that out. It's so weird to me.
I grew up here. I grew up a massive sports fan.
Yeah.
Massive.
I've heard that from other reporters that you know.
When you pull the curtain back, and you really get in the mud of it.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
But I can't wash it all out of
but
me.
You choose to separate yourself. Like, I feel like
I can do that.
Like, I feel like there's a veil for you. Like, there's like, this is my job, but I want to keep the last sliver of reality and fandom. Like,
I always find myself, I always root hard, but I also, when it comes time to analyze, I have no problem just giving, not that it's gospel, but it's my opinion. I have no problem separating that.
I feel like I can let go of the losses easier now, being in the business for a long time. And, you know, it's not like when the Bengals lost the Super Bowl 2 years ago, I was obviously sad, but disappointed. But I feel like as a kid, I would have been completely devastated.
Yeah. I think that's the case with everybody. As we get older, we get other priorities in our life.
Yeah.
You have a wife, you have a son. You didn't have that when you were 12.
Right.
You know?
The Indians/Guardians were my last bastion because I was a baseball fan first, and I still love the sport the most. That's the sport I'm most into, even though I cover the NBA.
I wouldn't have known that about you.
Oh, I love baseball.
I mean, I know you love all of them. I wouldn't have guessed that baseball.
Yeah, it was always baseball for me, but 97 was the one that just shattered me.
Yeah, it got me
I was 21, I was in college. I blew off the entire month of classes in October because I got to cover a lot of the home games, and I just didn't go to class for a month. And I remember laying on the couch at my parents' house when they lost the game and thought, well, shit, now I got to go back to school, and I got like all D's and F's.
They didn't win. It would have been worth it if they.
I know, but I came home with a 1.7 GPA and no World Series.
You know the great part about it. It worked out for him, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
it's true.
The D's stand for diplomas.
Well, you were working in the laboratory. I mean, the real
That's all
life.
that matters.
Yeah.
Covering, like at some point, your professors probably should have been asking you questions.
Yeah, well. They didn't. Where were you? That was the questions they were asking.
Why didn't you show up and why didn't you study?
Mike, you got a final thought before we go?
No, I wish I was here in 2016 for that. Like, I was in Boston in
college. It
college.
was a fun year to be in Cleveland.
Oh, my God.
I was in Boston, in college when the Red Sox won a World Series, the Bruins won the Stanley Cup, the Patriots won a Super Bowl. So, like, I've been in those championship moments in the aftermath, and those were teams I all hated. Like, it hurt me to see them win because – where I grew up and those teams in particular, and especially all my friends who were Boston sports fans are the most obnoxious in the world. They're the worst. If I was here now working on a show like I am now and we got to celebrate a championship, even as someone not from Cleveland, like, I dream about those moments.
Bro. Anybody that was at that parade for the Cavs will remember that forever.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was an incredible day that none of us will ever forget.
Because it was 128 degrees, first of all. It was so hot.
But
you know what? Get cars through the parade.
I would complain about that less than I would complain about, like, if it was raining or cloudy or 52 degrees.
Perfect.
Just bad weather.
Not a cloud in the sky.
It was a beautiful
could have used
day.
a cloud.
I remember it because businesses just closed. They just, except for the guys like me who had to stay behind.
People were pulling off, like taking their cars on the highway and just leaving them there.
Yeah, no, so they could get to the city.
Yeah.
Well, after Game 7 that night, there was a lot of that going on. I think Earl even did that.
I drove downtown. I didn't drive. I had my ex-wife drive. She drove downtown like a bat out of hell. And I was just remember just looking around like, man, I may never see this no more. But the thing that always got me was I was like, if you think this is crazy,
what if
the Browns won?
It would be.
Now, the only thing is, like, the Super Bowl parade,
the weather,
it's going to be February.
Yeah, right.
And February in Cleveland, you rarely, if ever, get a nice day.
It doesn't matter.
We'll be drunk.
No, I know it doesn't
It'll
matter.
still be insane.
You know when the Browns last won their world championship in the 63 season, I guess it was, 64, they didn't even have a parade.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, the NFL was not
nothing
nearly
before
what
the
it is
70s
now.
counts. Nobody cares.
No, but I mean, I say that, but like when the Indians won in '48, they did a huge parade.
They threw a parade in '95 when they lost.
Yeah,
and
that
they had a
bothers
party.
me.
And
Yeah, that bothers me. As much as the 0-16 parade.
There will always be somebody, you say 70s don't count, but if the Browns win, we will all think of 5 people who are no longer here that would have been here if they could have saw it. If you think of 5 people, you're like, man, so-and-so passed, my cousin, my dad, my grandfather. You'll think, what would they have done? And everybody will think of stuff like that.
Let's throw out a year right now, all 4 of us.
Yeah.
When does Cleveland win its next championship? And if you'd like to say the team, go ahead.
Do this, then I got to plug something, then we'll wrap it up.
All right.
Well, I wrote a column that I would still get destroyed for that all 3 teams are going to win in 2024.
Yeah, no, you did. It's not aging well.
No.
Here we go. It's got to be now.
All right, so you're
2024.
I believe the Guardians will win a championship.
Man.
Do I have to give an exact year?
I want a day. Give me down to the day.
I feel like they'll win one this decade. I'll say, what year is this? 2023. I'll say the Guardians win the World Series in 2025.
So 1 year after me.
I'm saying Browns.
Yeah, but I'm not saying all 3 teams. I'm just saying the Guardians.
Yeah, that's a
the Browns in 29.
Bro, if that happens, you are in the Hall of Fame of predictions.
You're saying the Browns next
Browns
championship?
2029.
Really?
I'm
Who's the
getting
quarterback?
Browns in 26.
No one we know now.
I got the
You
Browns.
saying what?
Browns in 26.
Okay.
Last year of Watson's first contract.
Browns in 27.
I can't believe you guys are all picking the Browns.
That's the one I want.
I mean,
You want the Browns more than the Guardians?
Bull, sadly, I've kind of
So he's given up on that.
I'm in now. It's not that I've given up on them. The structure, the hierarchy of the sport.
Yeah.
There's too big of a disadvantage for cities like Cleveland. It's just there's too big of a geographic disadvantage.
Yeah, all right.
Where the NFL, I feel like everybody's on equal footing, and they've sucked for so long. It's got to end at some point.
Jason, what's your pick?
He picked all
2024,
I picked all 3 2024.
Right.
It's
Mike,
partly
wrap it up
tongue in
for us.
cheek, but
No, don't say that because when it happens, you can own it.
we'll just cut that part out.
We open this overtime up to the public for everybody. By far our most viewed overtime, considering that we have a much larger pond to fish from. So we appreciate you guys tuning in.
Absolutely.
If you enjoyed what you saw, for $4.99 a month, it's less than $60 a year, you can become a Coaches Tier member. Get this daily. We usually have specific topics. We do some viewer questions from time to time. It is not usually this loosey-goosey, but with our 1 year anniversary, we figured it was the appropriate way to do it. If you want more, just $4.99 a month. We appreciate it. And shout out to everyone in the chat who gifted memberships. I think I saw 15 gifted memberships today from 3 different people. So shout out to you guys.
Man.
Y'all are the best. I mean this sincerely from everybody.
We love you.
1 year.
See you tomorrow.
To infinity.